They say keep Portland weird, so it feels fitting that they have one of the more unique racetracks in North America. Grab your favorite coffee and strap in as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Craig, I'm excited to see our drivers return here because the last time they ran this track, it was a stunning race.
Yeah, Portland delivers a lot of the time, and last time there was a threat of rain. Today, there's nothing. It's going to be nice and dry, so everyone can just focus on downforce and speed, and this really is America's version of Monza.
Yeah, Portland is also one of the newer additions to iRacing, so let's head to our track guide to find out more about it. Welcome to Portland International Raceway. Located on the north side of Portland, Oregon, and right next to the Columbia River, the track is known as the premier racing circuit in the Pacific Northwest. It's by no means a very long circuit, with its two layouts clocking in just shy of 2 miles, or just over 3 kilometers in length. Depending on which one you choose, it has 9 or 12 corners to navigate over the lap. In the chicane version, the Shelton chicane absolutely smacks you in the face and presents the best passing opportunity. But watch out on lap 1, because these bends are notorious for causing messy pileups. Turns 4, 5, and 6 will take you on a sweeping ride, but they spit you out into the extremely important turn 7. This hairpin does offer chances to pass if you're sneaky, but it's more notable for the fact it leads onto the long backstretch. Failing to get a good exit out of there will leave you incredibly vulnerable. This is where the track reveals some of its roots as a street course, with this curved stretch formerly being Vanport Road. Hug that wall on the right because you're going to need every inch of track on your way into the chicane of 10 and 11. This switchback catches out many drivers of all skill levels due to its speed and the fact it requires you to set up for the final turn pretty much immediately. Make sure not to get too much wheel spin as you ease back onto the pit straight and you've finished a lap. With IMSA, SCCA, IndyCar, Formula E, and NASCAR all having raced here, there's an impressive variety of motorsports disciplines in its history. Considering no other major racing tracks are remotely close by, PIR is king of the roost in the Northwest, and one loved by fans across the country. Well, as we can see, the main difference here is going to be, Craig, that we don't have that opening chicane, and that really changes the nature of this track.
It absolutely changes things here on the West Coast. The last time they ran without a chicane was the 70s, 1983, the last time that there was no chicane down at the front stretch. And the only thing that's changed since then is a reprofiling of modern day turn 7, but today it's going to be turn 4, and the final corner, which modern day turn 12, turn 9. And it gives us a lot of opportunities for not only to overtake, but side-by-side action, because you're going to do a lot down that straight to try and make some moves. And then you come down into that winding turn 1 into turn 2. That turn 4, because of the way it's now shaped up, you can try and go for sort of like a suicide dive, as there's going to be different lines through there. But you need to get a good run because it sets you up down into the chicane in 6 and 7. Very tight opportunity there before the final corner. And again, this is the track now, as we said with Mini Monza, you get the right exit, you get the right speed. So those at turn 4 and turn 9 are going to be very crucial today for the drivers.
Going to be two of the most important turns on the track, without a doubt, as we take a look at the championship in the meantime. And things are getting a little bit interesting after Jack David Spickett has taken 2 wins in a row. He's cut it down to 125 points, which is a ways to go, but he is clearly on the rise against Partanen and Hisada. Togo not having the best of the last few rounds in comparison to Partanen, who remains consistent and still sits at 604 points total right now. Watch out for Jacob Reed. He is always a threat in these cars, especially now the vintage cars, as he's been showing up in all 3 of the series we cover here on GSRC. From there, it remains a very close fight between Timothy Reed, Oya Zamaloa, and Gabriel Martinez for the 6th spot as well in the championship. Let's take a look at the F2 standings, which has also been kind of broken up.
Yeah, Josephine Becker hasn't been here the last 2 weeks, but that fantastic drive at Watkins Glen and earlier at Monza allows her to just get such a big lead. She is here today, but she's not in the top split. She missed out by about 100 iRating, just to show how competitive it is. Bjorn Ackerman also, I believe, going to be joining there. David Ricciardi also just behind. It's a real nice battle when you look at it as well. Jason Kreviak, Martin Reisman, Thomas Tuber, everyone still battling for that second spot with a gap of 100 points in the F2. I'm trying to think, Joe, I'm trying to rack my brain. That's unheard of in this sort of championship. It just goes to show the dominance that Josephine's been putting.
And while we won't be able to show it, our team's championship currently has TVR Racing up at the top right now. Dylan Freckleton for them. We've got Alfa Romeo and JIB second and third. As for today's race itself, as we take a look at the race details here, this is going to be a few more laps than we're used to because they go by so fast here, almost reminiscent of Lime Rock in a way. In fact, this place has been described as a stretched out Lime Rock sometimes, so it's 38 laps around here. It is open setup, but you can bet that everybody is going to be aiming towards taking out the downforce on these cars, getting that straight line speed. They do not have a spare car waiting for them if they get damaged, so if you break it, you bought it. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, a DQ at 25, so keep it within the track boundaries, but they don't have much in the way of paved runoff here, so you're probably going to run into trouble if you find yourself off into the grass. Now, we have about 2.5 minutes left in qualifying, but one of the big names that I am waiting for, Craig, is JDS. He is just getting ready to set his first timed lap.
Yeah, coming around the corner for his first lap of the day. He's waited for the last moment to really go for this. He's looking pretty quick out there. He's going to come across the line. Look how quick these times are. It's a 57.348. That is only good enough for 8th position, just above of Ozzy Pahaka. You can see on the timing tower just how close it was between Topi Kortanemi and Pauli Partanen. We get a good look at what this track is going to go for Jack David Spickett because he comes around that tight, slow turn 3. And here's his turn 4, reprofiled since they did this in the 70s. And you get a good run here, but you can see the rear of the car just wants to start sliding out there, Joe. It's going to be interesting in the race if you start to do that, because the last thing you want coming down here is to overheat those tires. Dylan Freckleton moves up into 6th. Jack needs to find half a second to get to the front.
And yeah, I mean, half a second sitting in 9th, that tells you how close it is. In fact, you have to go to 19th position to get close to 1 second apart between the pole and the next driver back as we get the second lap, and it is a 56.9, a big improvement up to 3rd. JDS comes in clutch as Olenek, I think, is our only other driver with a lap left here. The 15 will cross the line. It's a 57.2. That's good enough for 8th place. The entire field split by 2.5 seconds and 30 drivers. It is going to be a close battle today.
And not only that, you look at it, basically, apart from a couple positions in the top 10, every gap is less than a tenth. In fact, the gap between first and second is 0.014, and the gap between third and fourth, that's JDS and Toga Hizada, 0.014. A close battle as well. Going up Freechick, just 3,000 behind Aaron Blair, as you see in the timing tower. These are some of the closest times you will ever see between drivers because of the nature of this track. And again, I mean, I keep talking about it, Joe. Slipstream track today. It's a draft track. That usually helps the drivers, and we know what to expect with that. It's going to be a waiting game for about 30 laps before the final 10 laps.
Interesting note. Ossian saying that he lost a couple tenths in the last sector when he couldn't quite get it into the gear he wanted. So he might be out of position down in 11th, as it looks like qualifying is officially over. So let's go through our starting grid for today. And up at the top of them, Topi Kortanemi takes another pole position once again. From there, it is Pauli Partanen starting P2, Jack David Spickett in 3rd, Toga Hizada 4th. So there's a lot of your championship rivals all up at the top already. Jacob Reed P5 with Timothy Reed in 6th, no relation obviously. Dylan Freckleton starts in 7th. Christoph Olenek, a late clutch move for 8th, as Gabri Martinez is 9th, and Jean-Francois Boscus is 10th position.
And then we do see that Ozzy Bahaka there in 11th, with Aaron Blair beside him in 12th. And then it's going to be Gunnar Friescher in 13th with Logan Edwards in 14th. Alexis Tapia Vico will be 15th. Kartik Pai will be 16th. Then Kurt Clapper, 17th. Kevin Parrish, 18th, before Jason Green is 19th, and Jason Kraviak rounds out your top 20.
From there, it is Javier Mascara starting in the 21st position. Yannis Carpentier is going to be in 22nd, as Jake Williams will start 23rd. Sam Winton, P24, and Gordon Janot in the 25th position. Outside of the quarter century, it's Tobias Runer, who starts 26th. Donaciano Martinez in 27th, Matthew Cochran 28th, and Antonio Alvarez in 29th. Kosalar rounds out our 30-car field for today. Rather large for this series, with a lot of cars out there, and they're going to have to be careful coming down into turn one. It's not the chicane, but they're still going to bunch up, and it gets very narrow into that section of track. So everybody's got to mind their P's and Q's so that they don't ruin this before they even get around that first corner, especially with it being a decent run up to there, and the driver's going to be giving a little bit of speed by that point. Here we go. Lights are up as the engines start to rev here at Portland for round 7, and the green flag is out. Topi does not get off the line. In fact, he's already falling back, maybe even a third or fourth here, as the top 3 are already past him. Coming down to the first corner, it is going to be Pauli Partanen, who is up to the top by the time they reach turn 1, as everybody files into the 1-2 section.
Everyone fires into that 1-2. Terrible start. Kortenemi already down. He already under threat as well from Toga Hizada. There he is as well. A few drivers having a moment. Aaron Blair having a spin in the background. Early hardest charger. 4 places for Javier Mascara. But everyone now, as they come from turn 4, they're starting to just get into single file. Some drivers still trying to make their way through.
You can see how close the fighting is through this part as we're watching Freckleton fighting with Martinez. Martinez going to be a little bit later on the brakes. This is a very fast chicane here at the end of the backstretch. It'll be tough to make passes into that little corner. Meanwhile, Freckleton able to regain on Martinez out of the final corner. As we check on the front view, Partanen looks like he has managed to pull himself away a decent distance, so he is not under threat.
Not at the moment, but Jack Davis-Pickett is going to try and pull him in, as we're keeping our eyes on the number 1 car. Jacob Reed trying to get another victory this weekend. He had a P2 in the 49s. He had a victory in the IMSA Vintage, and I've got to say that if he gets another win today, or even on the podium, one of those drivers, one of the rare drivers to get a podium in all 3 of the Triple Crown on a weekend, which is so good to see for Javier Mascara. Not what he wants to see, not the best of starts for him. He's up 3 places, just trying to find his way around that Aaron Blair. I don't know what's happened to Aaron Blair. He's going backwards pretty quickly. Doesn't have any damage though.
Yeah, he's down 7 spots as we're going to go wheel to wheel through the chicane. Mascara's going to run out of racetrack. Blair tries to take advantage. He might just get 1, but not 2. It is Kevin Parrish who comes out ahead after being under attack by the 17. Now it is Blair versus Mascara coming down the main straight. Krakowiak is watching from behind, maybe giving a little bit of space to ensure that he doesn't get caught up in this, but I think that's going to be Blair up to 18th.
Yeah, Mascara decided it's not worth going for that at this stage of the race, and don't blame him. It's only lap 3 here, so Aaron Blair just gets on ahead. A little bit ambitious move there to try and go side by side on the exit of the chicane. The exit, of course, is turn 8, so able to just keep it together, and that's what you want right now. You need to just set yourself up for moves like these 4 are doing. They're setting themselves up later in the race because it is a game of chess, but already the top 4 have managed to leave a second gap between themselves and Jacob Reed. That's unheard of when you think about Jacob Reed. He's got the number 1 in his car for a reason, Joe. He really is that vintage alien right now.
Yeah, impressive, but I don't think they're completely out of it yet, although Jacob and Timothy close together. It depends on if they work together. In the meantime, I think this is what we really need to watch. Down 3 spots right before the first corner. Topi Korteniemi is on the back foot. Can he manage to get by them, or does he? Is he playing a waiting game, maybe using that slipstream later?
I would want to say it's the latter, but not because he wanted to do it on purpose. I watched that start straight away, and it was interesting that there was almost half a second delay between Partanen moving and Topi moving, and you almost thought for a moment, did he just mess up? Did he just get on the revs a bit too early and mistimed it because he was not ready for that green light? And that's very unlike Topi Courtenay as Alexi Tafiavico in the battle here, getting past Boscus as well. Good little move before they get down to the chicane. And trying to make some moves here. Boscus down 5, just like Aaron Blair. They're not having the best of days out there, but for Vico, trying to catch up to that Kartik Pi, always a challenge to get around Pi.
In the background, looked like Mosquera got by Parrish once again. In fact, Parrish is going extremely slow. I wonder if there's a slowdown penalty or something, and now it looks like he has dropped out. So I think Kevin might be having a few connection issues, and that's why he is pulling off to the side and letting people go, not wanting to be a hazard.
Yeah, I wonder. Oh, no, I see what it is. He had the clutch down. I think he's got hardware failure in terms of his shifter, because if he came out of, we're watching Martinez right now, as he came out the final corner at turn 5, he clutched down to change. He clutched down a second time. He went a third time. It almost looks like he's got I'm going to say it's a gear stick issue. He is back driving now. He hasn't gone, but he's lost a lot of time. I reckon it was definitely some sort of hardware failure.
Whoa! That is Jake William taking to the runoff, and Cockrum as well goes very wide. He's going to go off the course once again and clips the wall coming out of the final corner. Jake Williams may have been shoved off the course, but he gets the last laugh in that one.
Yeah, somehow Cockrum does not pick up any damage to that wing. Very, very ambitious move to go through there, but if it works for you, but you can't get it all the time. Lightning doesn't strike twice. Aaron Blair looking to see if he can make lightning strike 5, 6 times. Remember, he started in 12th, down into 17th position, and this is tough as well because he's already 12 seconds behind the leaders. I don't think he was going to compete with the leaders, but that's just a sign of how much this pace is working right now. Drivers aren't looking for overtakes as much as we were thinking, Joe. They are happy to just stay here. Blair's going to try and make this move on Clapper. Kurt is very smart to just let it go. That's the only overtake we're seeing today is down here into the chicane.
Which again surprises me, because I would not think the chicane is the place you want to try and make those moves. I would think it's here coming down to turn 1 where you've got a lot more braking happening into that corner. But these top 4 have stayed stationary since they started this race. Partanen leads Pickett, leads Hisada, leads Courtiniemi, and they haven't really separated. Now, Partanen's kept that half-second gap, but he hasn't been running away, which I find intriguing.
I find intriguing, but also look at the pedigree right here. Look what we've got watching us right now. The top 4 are all champions, and I'm watching Topi because Toga had a really bad turn 4. It was sliding. Topi just can't make that, and we were talking about that earlier in qualifying. That sliding aspect coming out of turn 4. I think Togo was watching a bit too much of what JDS was doing in front of him. JDS did leave that car a little bit of a slide. We know he likes to get it a little bit loose. Togo tries to get on the edge a bit too much, and well, I think he just, if there's an edge with a little bit of lip, and you know what it's like with lips and skateboards, I think he just went over that lip a little bit.
Just a little too far, unfortunately. By the way, you made the right call, Craig, on Jacob Reed. He is now almost 2 seconds behind. So, yes, he is being outpaced by that quartet. We're going to check back in where most of the action has been in the mid-pack for Koviak here, getting past Carpentier, who manages to move up into 19th. But watch out behind. Martinez and Janot are close, although it's a little bit deep there for Martinez. He's going to allow Gord to get by, maybe. He's going to be on the outside coming into the hairpin. He's going to need the mother of all launches, and he doesn't get it.
But that was actually a little bit smart, even though accidental for Martinez, because he knew he had to go hard into turn 4, and he got in hard, and the over-under was there for Gord. But because of the way that Martinez slid the car back onto the racing line, nowhere for Gord to go, so loses out on a chance for an overtake there, but Kraviak gets past Martinez, so gonna have to wait. Topi Courtenay has got past Toga Hisada. Toga Hisada's in the grass. What has happened here for the Japanese driver?
There was a little bit of contact between them right before we shot over here, and now he has moved down to 6th position, and then there were 3. I think Togo is going to feel a little bit aggrieved by that one because it was a bit aggressive into the first corner, but this is a narrow track. It shockingly is difficult to try and race wheel to wheel.
And I don't think there was anything too foul play there It was just the two wheels coming together and just a little bit, maybe the netcode going. It's just the fact you've got a driver from Japan right now. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning in Japan, I think, or 4 o'clock. So you've got to play that as well with someone on in Europe, on an American server. It can just cause effect. But for Togo, he has to do this the hard way. He's going to have to do a lot of work. He's 3 seconds behind Courtenay, and he's going to get past these two if he wants to. And it's Reed and Reed. And as I always say, it's I before E right now. And there is no change on that.
No, Jacob's still in that 4th spot, but unable to make any inroads on those top 3. He's almost going to have to hope for more issues for those ahead if he wants to get onto the podium today. Just saw Mascara suddenly disappear on my timing screen. I think he may have come to blows with somebody out there that or made a mistake and found his way into the wall. Oh, got a little bit of side-by-side between Olenek and Martinez. They're also going to try this trick, but it's just not going to work. Oh, and they're going to wind up making a little bit of contact coming into the final turn. Somehow they get away with it. Christoph definitely touched the gearbox of Gabri Martinez after going off course. I'm amazed they're both still racing.
I got to be honest. I know it's tough to go side by side in that chicane, but I do feel like Gabri Martinez could have given a little bit more space out there, because he didn't give a lot of space there, and somehow they just get away with that with no damage. Is a miracle, as Gorge not is going with Antonio Alvarez. Can confirm that with Mascara. It almost looks like another hardware issue. He just did not have any time to brake for the first corner, so I wonder if he had a little bit of a hardware freeze or something. Very unfortunate out there for him, because he did slow down, albeit into the tires, and something's not right there for the driver.
Parrish passed Krakowiak on screen, so that was down into turn 1 for 20th place. Number 18 car next up for him is Martinez, but about 1.5 seconds up the road. It's going to be a lot harder for him to drop that huge group that we saw there. Meantime, this is our leader, Partanen, and he has now extended it. It is up to 1 second over JDS. It does seem like that may be the cutoff here if you're that far back. Oh, and JDS just went off course just behind him. He is going to lose a position. Topi Kortsiniemi is now up into P2. Turn 1 proving a little bit difficult for a few drivers.
And there is a little bit of a little bit of gravel tarmac there, just on the exit of turn 1, so you can just kick it a little bit wider. So Sada, let's just see what he's going to do here on to Timothy Reed. There was a little bit there, and I think JDS just went a little bit too aggressive there, trying to get that out, and he tried to catch the slide, did well, but did hit the grass. Somehow kept it off the gravel and off the grass enough, but he's going to have to do a recovery drive to get up there. But he is behind Topi Coultonemi, but that gap now at the front is true. It's 1.7 seconds. This really is a Pauli Partanen special.
That's a good way to put it. And, man, watching Dylan Freckleton through that chicane there of 6 and 7, these cars look absolutely on edge in the corners. They must have the wings as low as they can go with how much everybody is just really dancing around into the corners.
Yeah, and I was wondering how much downforce do you want out here today. It almost is a little bit of just remove the wing. In fact, when we saw what happened there with Christoph, when he lost his wing just for a moment, Dylan Freckleton, hang on 1 second, let's look at what going to happen to Dylan Freckleton, because that is a Ledger Jack defending around the outside of 4. Real good, and they're going to go side by side, but there is a little bit of overlap inside. Will belong to a Ledger Jack. Got a Preacher right behind. He's looking, thinking maybe I can just be a little bit cheeky. He won't. Oh, that's very brave from Dylan Freckleton. Tries to do a little bit of contact, and they all go around. And I tell you what, Preacher just goes, I'll take that very well. That could have worked, and they worked so hard to make that work.
Christoph comes off the worst. He's the only one that winds up off track in that one. Olenek down to 14th. Frisha gets P8. Freckleton up in the 9th. Meanwhile, Togo has Sada, and again, everybody really getting the elbows out here. Timothy Reed, the latest to find himself shoved into the grass at turns 1 and 2. He'll return in 7th behind Martinez.
Yeah, Kevin Parrish now, he's the next one. We've got to just see what happens. In fact, Timothy has gone off again. I wonder if there's an issue for Timothy Parrish to get past Martinez. And I don't think there's any big damage here, but Timothy Reed is struggling out there. Kartik Pai will probably just come right beside him right here. In fact, there goes Timothy Reed right behind. It looked a little bit like the move was on and Timothy turned in a bit too early. But maybe that's just one that people would just say down to a racing incident. Here's a driver that's had a few racing incidents this weekend, Oti Pahaka. trying to put away an unfortunate weekend for him. What can he do? He's already up 2 positions. Real good drive so far, but that purple Lightning TVR in front is Dylan Freckleton, and he's never an easy one to get by.
Yeah, I was a bit confused because Reed cut completely from turn 3 to the exit of 4 to the backstretch, which caused him a huge slowdown penalty. He came to a halt, but then he stayed there even after the penalty was cleared. So I'm not sure what was going on. I was just hoping he wasn't sitting and waiting for Togo, looking for revenge or something, which, you know, wouldn't seem typical for Reed. Thankfully, he is running, so maybe just a bit flummoxed and frustrated about what has been happening. Christoph on a recovery now after having a big moment coming through the final chicane. This is Aaron Blair in front of them. Both have lost since the start of this race.
Yeah, these are the guys that had the really bad starts, and Blair's done a nice little recovery drive. He's now -1, but he's a 2.5 behind Kartik Pai, and this is one I want to just look at. Pauli Parton and go purple once again. I was expecting today, Joe, the top 2, maybe the top 3, all just together in a train for like the first 20 laps or so. Look at the gaps right now in the top 10. 1.5, 1.5, 2, 1.5, 1.8, 3, 5 tenths, 5 tenths, and a second. These are gaps we were not expecting out here. And again, let's talk about it. It's a 57-second track. I'm really surprised at how these gaps are just manufactured.
And checking on that, I'm trying to see where we are in terms of maybe lapping other cars as we're now riding on board with Parton, and nowhere to be seen in front of him. Yeah, he's got a long ways before we get to those in front. Now, we still have about half the race to go here, so we could still catch up to them, and they may play a part, allowing those behind to start to catch them. But you're right, you have to go all the way down to 7th and below to finally get to within 1 second of one another. Completely antithetical to what we were expecting.
And again, this is what I think a lot of it is just due to the drivers looking to make moves, and some drivers, do you say, being a little bit ambitious early doors out here today? It does make you think, because some of the overtakes going into turn 1 have resulted in some wheel banging and people going off, and you know, Togo, it's happened to him, then he's caused it as well. You've seen in the back of the field, and the front drivers haven't been making it, but the back of the field really using that chicane at 7 and 8 to try and make some moves. So I do wonder if the driver's getting a little bit too adventurous right away in the race, because this is the biggest group we've got, and it's for 21st position. And you can just see everyone's just still trying to find a way through. Martinez in the front, Kraviak behind, Gord Janot side by side with him, Antonio Alvarez, Sam Winton, Matthew Cockerham, all here. Tobias Rona is just waiting. And is there going to be a move here from Gord? He's going to try and get past Alvarez, and Alvarez just thinks nicely about it. But yeah, this is what, 7 cars almost, right at the back of the field, all still battling hard.
And I got to give credit to both Martinez and Alvarez, up 8 and 7 positions respectively. So they've been having a pretty good race here, considering how chaotic it is in this group. Have been managing it well. This is definitely more what we were expecting out here, with close battles and having difficulty getting away from the pack. I mean, look at how long this train is. That is crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, the more I think about this is at the back of the field. Now, the more I think about this, look at the gaps at the front of the field. We don't need to look at them as we watch this. Now, remember how the championships are done for each driver. It's the fastest average lap time for the race, which means that if you're in the second split and your average lap time is better than the guy that finishes in 7th in the top split, because you're not going to go side by side with Jason Kraviak, and Kraviak's going to make that move. If you're faster than the 7th place guy in top split, you get 7th place in the points. Second split will be probably watching this back later, Joe, and going, hey, I might get some good points here today.
Yeah, very much so. It seems like because it is so difficult to get into this top split, that just having a good, solid, clean race in second split might pay you great dividends in that championship. For Koviak, looking back at Janot and Alvarez going wheel to wheel, this has often not worked out well through 1 and 2, but for Gord, he manages to hold on to that 26th spot. Look at it stack up behind him, though. Drivers down through 2, 3, down into 4 now, all trying to position themselves for what is a very sharp hairpin. We're going to go wheel to wheel behind them. That's Jake William and Tobias Roeder, and William comes out the worst of them.
comes out the worst of them, and 18 seconds behind will be the leaders. So we're keeping that eye on as Jason Green comes by. I was looking at this field, this group as well, and the group may just start to open up a little bit. The back of this pack, Sam Winton is starting to lose out to Alvarez. Got a little bit of wing damage to the front will be affecting him. Toga Hisada has caught up to the back of Jacob Reed. Now, we remember what they did in the 49s yesterday. I'm not saying that's going to happen now, but they are going to have a nice little scrap because Reed did not have the better laps last time. Hisada's there, and I wonder, if I'm Jacob right now, Joe, I would probably be saying, Togo, if you've got the run, take it. I need to catch up to the rest of the field. You're quick enough to catch up to the top three.
Well, I mean, is he thinking like that? That's the big question. And Jacob is an incredibly smart driver, so we'll have to wait and see, because I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not he's just going to fight this, or if he could maybe try and ride the coattails as we ride on board with Togo Hisada, showing you, even though it's heavy braking into these first couple corners, they're still taking a lot of speed into here.
Yeah, and it's just the nature. One merges into two almost. It's almost a very elongated double apex sweeping hairpin. That is basically the size of your doorknob, so it's very wide. And it's one of those that allows you to just carry that speed. I think the closest thing to it in the real world, you may be looking at that hairpin at the end of Sonoma, or maybe the hairpins going into like Laguna, but add a little bit of speed. It's that sort of effort where it's double apex, and that looked a mistake there from Reed. He almost just had to get off the throttle a touch because of the tire barrier. Togo won't be close enough to make use of this, but again, this kind of feels a little bit like, hang on, after the late breakers, Togo Hisada. Yeah, this kind of feels a little bit like yesterday at Zandvoort, where Jacob would not go for the send on Togo, but I don't think Togo will be waiting very long.
Yeah, reverse roles in a way. Back to Ozzy Buhaka, chasing on Dylan Freckleton for 8th spot, but he's also got Logan Edwards and Alexis Tapiavico not too far behind. This is another one of those trains that has started to form, being led by Gernot Frische, the champion of champions, if you will, in this series. Still holds most, if not all, of the major records in this series in terms of wins and titles and whatnot. Even though we haven't seen him up the top as much these days, number 4 still showing he's got it. He's doing a good job holding back Freckleton.
I was just about to say to myself, well, maybe this is an idea for us just to nudge some people to update the stat spreadsheet that everyone looks at, but we don't need to update it to see exactly how far ahead Gernot is in the championship in terms of wins, because nobody else is 100 race wins ahead, and Jacob Reed's in the grass. This is big time moment, and is this a contact with Toga Hisada? No, it was all on his own. All on his own, and he just took too much speed into turn 1.
Wow, a rare mistake from the number 1, and that sent him all the way back into this group. This is side by side with Ozzy. He's going to have the inside down into turn 4. Can we see a little bit of a cut back? Jacob Reed trying to get the launch. Doesn't have it. Nice move by Buhaka. That'll get him P8.
Yeah, nice move from Ozzy, but here comes Jacob Reed. It feels like Jacob's got a lot more downforce, and he's just waiting to see what Ozzy's doing, and I think he'll just be waiting. But hang on 1 second, look at Edwards. That was a little bit ambitious, and Reed had to just guess off the throttle and off the steering wheel, losing a couple more positions ahead of them. Dylan Freckleton with a moment. Ozzy goes up. Dylan hit the wall. No, Dylan had a slide, went too wide through turn 8. And that's going to allow Nico to get by as well. Dylan is going backwards, but very, I've got to say it, ambitious move from Logan Edwards on the number 1 car.
Yeah, I mean, that takes some bravery to be willing to throw it in with him, but credit where credit is due. He hung it out. Oh, big wobble there from Dylan Freckleton coming up into turn 4. Clearly still struggling a little bit. Now Jacob Reed has a chance to make up one of those spots, but he dips his wheels into the dirt and costs himself the corner exit. Both Dylan and Jacob have not had a good couple last laps.
Yeah, I don't think they want to be remembering those laps, but this is where fatigue starts to hit, because we talked about how it's a 38-lap race. Now, 38 laps sounds a lot, but think about it for a moment. It is only 40 minutes long around here today, but you're having to do the same thing 38 times. That's a lot of time to keep repeating something in such a quick fashion. So the fatigue starts to kick in for these drivers, and now you're over the halfway stage with 14 to go. That's where the mistakes start to come in a little bit more. They start to creep up more because now you're thinking, I've done this. And then a split-second moment, you've not done it again, and you've got to get the rhythm. You've got to get back on the horse. That's what Reed's trying to do. Sam Winter would love to get back on the horse. The horse needs some new hoofs, though. You can see the wing damage there as he just watches positions ahead.
Yeah, Krakowiak being overtaken by Roner, and now it looks like Jason's trying to shut the door. He manages to at least hold on to that P22, as again, lots of sliding around without the downforce on these cars to help them stick to the track. Looks like Sam Witten might have a shot. No, it's going to be Jason who tries up the inside of turn 4, gets denied, and Tobias will stay in P21.
Winter, not a driver we're used to seeing in the top split, but does drive this car quite a bit, so good to see him up into the top split and really struggling. Right behind him, Gord Janot as well, so really tough battle, and you can just see he can't get on the throttle coming out of turn 4. So he's just losing a little bit here because he needs to keep close to the back of Jason because he needs that downforce. He needs that draft. He doesn't have that wing at the moment, and Gord is right there waiting and waiting. And I'm looking at the timing tower. Togo is closing shortly on Jack David Spickett. It's not enough, though. He only took 2/10 out last time, Joe, and he's 2 seconds behind. I'm looking at the maths. That doesn't compute to me.
No, and that was his fastest lap of the race, that 57.1. 57.142, I should say, because he hit another 57.1. He's been very consistent so far, but did not best his fastest lap. Jack David Spickett, 57.5. So that was still about 4/10 quicker. He is gaining, but like you said, it looks like too little too late.
Yeah, I think he's just going to have to be happy with a podium again. Jacob Reed would love to try and get a top 5 as he comes on past Dylan Freckleton before the chicane. And this is going to be a recovery drive for him. He knows Ozzy Bahaka's ahead up into 7th, but then you look at where P5 is, it's 7 seconds up the road. This could be all he wrote. And Topi is, I'd like to say Topi is catching. I don't think he's catching enough, though, because it's a 10th loss again to Pauli Partonen. And I do feel it is. That's his fastest lap. But it's a 57.117. It was a 57.183 from Partonen. They're just matching each other. But here's the key thing. There's some lap traffic right ahead of these drivers. So this might just throw that spanner in the works.
Yeah, we kind of flashes somebody off track, and must have been a lapped car, I suppose. I don't see anybody at the top dropping down the order. To give you an idea, Cortinimi's last lap was his personal best, 57.117. Toka Hisada, 57.194. So yeah, those mistakes that everybody's been making early in the race have been critical to the outcome. Alexis Tapia Vico, and quite a bit of a battle between Reed, Edwards, and he, and coming out onto the back straight away. It is all down to that launch once again. Dylan Freckleton in behind, trying to make up for an error earlier on in a battle he had. In fact, he's been off course down through this chicane multiple times. The 30 trying to stay off and out of the way, takes to the grass to try and avoid complicating things for these drivers, but they'll stay single file.
Single file. Well, they've realized now it's a bit too late to start thinking. Logan Edwards hits the tyre barrier. Logan Edwards does hit that tyre barrier, and right behind there is Dylan Freckleton. No damage, but that's going to lose a lot of speed here, and Freckleton should in theory get this move. He can't catch up. Now that's interesting. Now that says to me that Dylan's got a little bit more downforce in that car. I was not expecting that, because Edwards kept that lead in front of them during that whole straight, and Jacob Reed now trying to battle Vico as well. So some drivers not taking all the wing out here today, Joe. I was really surprised to see that.
Ooh. Wow, Jacob Reed having to lift big time to avoid getting into the back of Vico, and now Freckleton has been able to take advantage of it, which is interesting because Freckleton was a ways behind after his fight just earlier this lap. So that shows how costly lifting on these acceleration zones can be. They're still within touch with Vico, though. So Vico must have had an atrocious run off of turn 4, or maybe just caught a little bit of those curbs. These cars sometimes won't like that. Looks like Jacob going to get back past Dylan Freckleton down into turn 1, and tries again to get back up to Alexis.
Yeah, Vico did apologize straight away on that, so you can see it. And now the question really is, look at that. On the slipstream, Freckleton just got overtaken by Jacob Reed. I don't see any damage on that purple car of Freckleton. It feels like it is just a different setup out there today for Dylan, and it's just really costing him out there. So what can Jacob do? Nothing at the moment. He'll just set himself up. He's got a lot of memories of this chicane, good and bad, because the last time I saw Freckleton driving this track was actually the IMSA Vintage, cost him a victory at the chicane due to lap traffic, and well, there's no lap traffic here at the moment for him, but they've lost a lot of time to Aussie.
Ooh, this is a good run. Jacob's got the tow. We're on board, looking at the gearbox of Vico, who pulls off to the side and lets him go. Now, was that intentional?
It's got to be. It's got to be. It's got to be. I think that's a little bit of, you're faster, I'm holding you up, you're not my battle. You can also probably get us up to Aussie if I'm good enough to follow you. But now Vico has to go on the defense before he even starts thinking about going forward onto Jacob Reed. So, yeah, I do feel that's more of a, I just don't have to fight and I'm not going to cause an issue, because we saw what happened 2 laps ago, almost came together. So just a little bit of smart driving as Togo is catching, and Topi's getting, these drivers are getting very close to the 56-second barrier. Be interesting to see what they do. And I just watched, you know, Jacob Reed just had that position. He's just lost it. He's just gone wide at the final corner.
I saw that same thing as you. In fact, Freckleton is already hunting him as we watch his Sada. Yeah, it has been doing stunning laps up there, continuing to reel in Spicket. Just JDS has been doing a phenomenal job to bring home, potentially, this podium, rifling off consistent laps himself. He knows he's not as quick, but he's focusing, I think, on not making mistakes, and has made such a huge difference.
Yeah, like I said yesterday, and I said it the last few weeks, he's really just found that gear again. He's found himself back in that mindset he needs that made him a champion last year. 2 wins on the bounce in the 79, a win yesterday in the GTO with another iRacing highlight moment. Jacob Reed looking for one right now, but he's going to have to wait as Courtenay does break the 56-second mark. So that's going to be interesting, because he's starting to actually close off on Pauli Partanen. So we may have some battles here, just like we're seeing Jacob Reed trying to get past Vico. And I do wonder if we'll see the same thing again. This time, though, yeah, in fact, he goes to the inside. And is he going to just lift? He does again. Is this a setup thing? Are some of these drivers just taking too much downforce today? Because it feels like he doesn't want to fight.
Oh, look at behind them, too. Edwards and Blair, they're side by side coming through 1 and 2. It'll continue back into the left-hander of turn 3. Blair's going to be on the outside, Edwards on the inside, but it switches here, and I think it looks like Edwards going to be trying for the over-under, but does not time it right, and that's going to give Blair P11.
Yeah, it's so tough at turn 4 to make that over-under. Some drivers have tried to make it work today. It's not been working hard well. And Logo, he is still +2 for the day, but where he was running could have been better. But Pauli Partanen is getting back that pace. He's managed to pull ahead of Courtenay once again, but right behind, look at those two battling in the background. And there's actually Timothy Reed on Jason Green. They're not battling, it's actually behind them even more, because Toga Hisada's right on the back of Jack Davis Pickett. They just came through turn 4, and Hisada, well done to Hisada. Late charge here. Jack just can't find the pace on the low fuel. Meanwhile, Partanen is just finding all the pace with the low fuel.
Yeah, I didn't think that he would be able to catch him up, although he had a mistake out of turn 4. You could see the distance has grown a little bit. It was even closer than this before. Coming off the corner, Togo discovering that the aero wake is making life difficult. He's had so many laps in clear air. Now it is a different story.
Different story, but still battling a 57.209. Played to 57.242 from JDS as they've got a spinner up ahead, and frankly the spinner washes out. That was Alvarez there in 24, washes out off the track, so doesn't affect these two. We're on board with the back of the Pepsi car, looking to see if he can deliver another maximum performance out here. And right now you have, again, we're talking about it, 4 champions at the top of the field. And we're going to see 2 champions battle out the most recent champion and a man who would love to get there after a year away from the top spot.
UK driver doing everything he can to hold on here at the end. He's been run down, but he is again just rifling off these laps while Hisada spins his wheels almost literally behind him, trying to play catch up. It is down to 3 laps to go now at this stage. Togo is going to have to get a little bit closer than this.
He needs to get closer as well. He actually needs his podium for the championship. We have to start talking about this. He's losing time out to Pauli Parton in the championship. And if he gets another P4, well, you're basically just saying that's another drop week. And he's already had 2 bad weeks this season. So he needs his podium, but so does Jack David Pickett. He's trying to fight for the championship now. We have to talk about a legitimate championship run here from Jack David Pickett. So these two are a little bit desperate for this final spot on the podium. And I think the times are going to start to show it. But JDS last lap was 2/10 slower, even though Hisada can't find a way through. What can the Japanese driver do? Oh, it's slowing down. Was that intentional slowing down on the exit on the entry of turn 9 there from JDS? Felt like it because Togo can't make advantage.
Oh, and he's trying to use the slipstream of the lap car to help him out here. It does give him that little bit of extra pace, but Togo also trying to pull that draft coming down the main straight down to turn 1, knowing he needs it. I get the sense that Jack has a little bit more top speed here, and that may be what's saving him.
It may be that, but we have to talk about it, Joe. Who's the king of the late breakers? It's Togo Hisada. So many moments that he can create just by just being brave on the brakes. He may need to do that, but the last time he did that, well, it cost Timothy Reed a position and the race as he retired the car. So I do wonder if he's just waiting. But last time out, Jack had a really slow turn 9. It's not that it's slow again as they take the white flag coming by. I don't think Togo's got this.
It doesn't look like it. He does get a bit of a better run. He's much closer this time by. White flag is out. We're on the last lap of the race. Partonen is well clear up front, but this is the fight we want to see. Last step on the podium, side by side, coming down into turn 1, but Togo's been forced to the outside. Next up, they've got turn 4 and lap traffic. Is this going to play a part, Craig?
I don't think it's going to play a part. The lap traffic gets out of the way, but now JDS needs to just hold on. Last real good braking point for Togo Hisada. Not going to use it. Slides the car a bit too much. Oh. That might be all she wrote. In fact, it is. Overheated the tires with that slide. That could be it right now. I think JDS has got this, and so has Pauli Partonen.
Partonen with nearly a 2-second gap. He's been managing it since he took the lead off the line. A win for Pauli Partonen today in Portland by at least a healthy margin in terms of Portland wins. Kortaniemi 1.5 seconds back, and JDS survives the onslaught from Togo Hisada. The thing that I love about Togo is he never leaves anything on the table. He gave it a right go.
He gave it a right go, and the question will be, any other driver would have looked to try and make a send into that corner. Did not make it. Got at Frisha with Ozzy Bahaka at the line. Very tight battle by those two, but Frisha gets it. Jacob Reed will come home in 8th. I do wonder what the gap between those two is. We've still got 3 cars battling in the background. John Forrester, Boscott, Aaron Blair. Is there going to be a late move from Blair? He's going to try and use the slipstream, but it's going to be all 4 naught out there. That's close. And that gap, by the way, we just saw between Bahaka there, it was 0.084. So very tight battles at the line.
Even closer between Boscus and Blair, 0.03 of a second between them. And then even Kevin Parrish, if I could get his name out behind them, was just over 1/10 of a second. So typical finishes here for Portland as our winner comes down to celebrate here in pit lane. And Topi Kortaniemi going to be ruining that mistake off the start line. Whatever it was that cost him, that set the tone for the entire race. As we are now to the post-race, and let's hit our results, give you an idea of how things wound up here today. Pauli Partonen, your victor over Topi Kortaniemi, 2 fins and 1-2. Once again, Jack David Pickett, though, with a podium finish today, but he was 6 seconds behind those flying fins. Togo Hisada was P4. Gabri Martinez was in 5th position. Then it was Gernot Frisha in 6th. Ozzy Buhaka with a good battle there at the end with him in 7th. Jacob Reed 8th. and Alexis Vico in 9th. Dylan Freckleton rounding out your top 10.
We get to the next page, and Logan Edwards will be in 11th position with Karthik Pai in 12th. Christoph Ledgerjack will finish in 13th. John Francis Boskus will be 14th, and it's not the day for Aaron Blair. Finishes in a dead heat with Boskus. He finishes in 15th. Kevin Parrish 16th. James Carpenter up 5 into 17th. Martinez and Cockerham 18th and 19th respectively, both up 9 places. Last guy is on the lead lap. Kurt Clapper, first man down 1 lap in 20th.
21st goes to Gore Janot. The Canadian was ahead of Tobias Roner there in 22nd. Jason Green a lap down as well with Sam Winton in 24th. You've got Antonio Alvarez in the quarter century mark. And it's Jake William, the last one lap down. Timothy Reed, unfortunately, having to take repairs for that contact. Wound up 3 laps down in 27th. Krakowiak, Kolasar, Mosquera, your DNFs today out of our 30 starters. Not too bad considering how frantic it was and how close the racing was on track. But Pauli Partanen has joined us, our winner here today, getting the jump off the line. But that wasn't the only story there, Pauli. You had to pull the gap and keep them out of the slipstream. How hard were you working to try and break that toe?
I was I was trying so hard. Like every lap was quality lap for me, and Jack had amazing pace. I think he might have made some mistake because he suddenly disappeared. But I'm quite sure that Jack could have been on my trap whole race, and yeah, I was a bit lucky with that. And after that, Topi was having a super pace. I think we having same lap times after lap. It was super tight battle. And I think he also had some kind of trouble with back marker on the second last lap. So again, I was a bit lucky there. But yeah, amazing race. The start was super good. Like I think Jack and Toko maybe had a bit better start than me, but I was able to be first on the first corner, and that counts.
Yeah, it seemed like it made a big difference in the results of today's race. But how was the car feeling? We saw a lot of drivers looking like they were dancing around. I have to imagine you guys had taken as much wing as possible out.
Yeah, actually, I think I took all the wing out from my rear wing. So yeah, it was super slippery. But yeah, this track is, I think it is very fun. Like this was first time I was driving it, and I think Lotus 79 really suits this track, and it's fun to drive.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Next time out, though, we're heading off to Jerez, so a lot more corners, although another very fast track with a lot of sweeping turns. Do you think you can back this one up over in Spain?
Well, I haven't never raced there, so I have no idea what kind of track it even is. So we will see. But I have to say that lately, Lotus 79 has been very big challenge. There's super fast guys, like there's always like 5 guys that can really fight for wins, so you never knew, and you have to nail the quali and you have to nail the race if you want to win, so it's not easy. We will see.
Well, congratulations on the win. A well-managed race, sir.
Thank you.
Pauli Partanen, your victor today. Up next, it looks like Craig's going to be talking with a man who should be able to handle a squirrely handling car, and that's Ozzy Puhaka.
Yeah, I'm here in the wilderness, Joe, as we see the rare Ozzy Puhaka make another appearance this weekend. And Ozzy, what brought you to the wonderful track that is Portland in these fast cars? Because this is not really something you get to see you in a lot.
Hello, Craig. Hello, Joe. Thank you, guys. I don't know. Honestly, I just wanted to drive. I tried my hand at the Camel yesterday, and yeah, that less said about that, the better. So decided to try my hand at an old friend, Lotus 79 instead. And I don't know, Portland isn't even one of my favorite circuits or anything. It's just something I wanted to try, and I've driven here once before in a different car, so it was definitely a challenge.
We're talking as well about this long straight. We're seeing on the replay a lot of trim out there.
Yeah, so the slipstream was an important factor very much. That's why I gave Gernot the right of way earlier on, because I knew he was a little bit faster and I could just stay in his toe and catch up to the cars ahead. I didn't experience too many chess maneuvers myself. I didn't really have a chance to be in that position. I was a bit too far behind or a bit too far ahead. There was one time we went side by side into the first corner and I decided that, okay, I'm gonna hold my line on the outside and let the guy on the inside make the mistake, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, a lot of drivers making mistakes out there today, and it really was the case of keeping it clean out there for you. And I probably know what the answer is going to be, but I have to ask, are we going to see you again? Because you love this car. It's your old faithful. We do have some more tracks coming up, especially with Jerez. Is there anything that you look at in the schedule that thinks, just maybe I might come out once again?
I think you'll find it's pronounced Heret.
No, but I don't know. I mean, every time I say, yeah, I'll try to race, and you see me next time in half a year, to be honest, there's a lot of hectic things going on in personal life right now, so I can't even see 1 week ahead of what I'm about to do. One more thing I want to mention about that race, I'm not sure if Pauli mentioned it, but the rear tires were really wearing out, especially on that second sector, the twisty sectors. So that's really also something that had to be taken into consideration. But I'd love to race again. I just can't make any promises.
Well, let's not make any promises. Let's just hope we can get to see you. There's something over here called Autumn Watch and Spring Watch where we look at the wildlife. I think this is Aussie Watch, and I think we're going to have to just close it down for another season and maybe see you later on. But Aussie, it's great always to have you racing. Always great to see you in the booth, actually being interviewed for a change, and maybe down the road we'll see you again later.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks, Joe. And well, if you see me again on track, then you know it'll be nuts.
Yeah, it will be nuts indeed. Aussie Bahaka, who finishes... I forgot where he finished. He finishes 7th, Joe. Sorry, just made me had a little bit of a laugh there.
Yeah, good pun from Aussie. As we head over to Topi Kortsiniemi, who finished in 2nd today. And we heard from Pauli's perspective about how important the start was to the race. Topi, I mean, talk about what happened. What caused you to lose time at the green?
Just... mistake with the clutch. I mean, me and Pauli were running a really long first gear that required a very delicate work with the clutch to not bog down the engine, which happened for me. And then I put the clutch in again to get the revs up and slip again, and that was 3 cars past me doing that. So I just cursed at myself for a few seconds and then put some fast laps in as fast as I could.
Yeah, you caught back up to that group. It seemed like other drivers' mistakes helped you out a little bit. Considering that, I mean, are you happy you at least collected yourself up to P2?
I'm happy with putting so many fast laps and seeing that Pauli did the same too. So, I mean, nothing was left on the table. I was putting in 107%, and I think Pauli was too. About the Togo incident, I'm not sure. This racing incident might be, maybe I got a little wide, I'm not sure, but anyway, just in case, sorry, I'm not sure who's to blame there.
Well, with how many times you guys have raced, I'm sure that there's little hard feelings between the pair of you. You came in leading, though, and finishing 2 positions ahead of Togo. You're still sitting good on that front. Same thing with finishing ahead of Jack David Spickett. So all things considered, I suppose... excuse me. I was looking at Pauli up at the top. So you came in late to the season. You actually have 3 drop rounds already for the first 3. Will you be around for later then, knowing that?
I think I have 4 because last week my connection dropped. So no really chances with the championship. But the most important thing is that we got a Finnish victory, Finnish domination again. No more UK or US winning the races.
You guys are very good at that. I have no doubt there will be more whenever you show up. Again, congratulations on the recovery to P2.
Thanks, Joe.
Topi Kortsiniemi, who I'm not going to get confused with his fellow countrymen, at least finishing 2nd today. I think we got time for one short one with 3rd place Togo, or 4th place Togo Hisada here.
Yeah, we've got Togo Hisada here, and it wasn't exactly the race we expected. Togo, talk us through what happened with that little incident with Topi Kortsiniemi.
just hard racing. Actually, me and the Topi been battling together for a lot of years. But it was always 49, Lotus 49, which is a little bit low speed and a little bit less, net code contact. So we should adjust the approach the battle together, because every single time he's very clean, and I'm very trust him, and maybe he trusts me. So it's not hard feelings, just we should change the approach, for that this more fast cornering speed cars.
Topi did say it was a racing incident on his side as well, so it was hard racing. You almost got that podium with Jack Davis Pickett. Did you push a bit too hard at the end before you to lose that spot?
Yeah, a little bit. I need to keep it up with that year, and under the last lap a little bit, my later is overheated.
Before we let you go, just one question. Jerez next week. I know it's a track you have had some good driving at. What are your expectations next week?
To be honest, I'm not good at the Jerez all the time, so a little bit tough challenge for me. But switch the mind and prepare for the next one.
Togo arigatou gozaimasu, as per usual. A good little recovery drive, finishing in P4th. We look forward to seeing you next week at Jerez.
Thank you so much.
Toga Hisada there, Joe, finishing out to the interviews for another action-packed week.
Yep, and definitely got some good ones in there this time. Some neat thoughts and some fun ones. Up next, of course, as we've been saying, we'll be at Jerez, or Jerez, I guess, if you want to, the Spanish way. But the moto version of the circuit, we should clarify. So not what you usually see race cars racing on. The modern version this time should be a fun one. That'll be November 9th. And don't forget, with the time change, that'll also, again, be at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Craig, I'm glad that you got to join me for this one. And I think we got the exciting race we expected.
Wasn't the way I thought it was going to happen. There was a little bit of a lull in the middle, but a fantastic drive at the end. When the fuel starts to burn out these cars, that's where the action happens. But we were expecting a lot of the draft train at the front. We got it in the midfield. Always good to get those drivers looked long.
They picked it up where the leaders had kind of dropped the ball in a way, I suppose. But a big thank you to everybody for tuning in, as well as a thank you to our team, Craig, Dougie, and Daniel. We will have more racing on GSRC a little bit later this week, as the POC is going to be heading to Detroit on Monday. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.